Ukraine continues to fight back against Russians, claims big successes off the coast of Odessa. Ukraine claims that their troops have attacked lead Russia-Slava-class warship Moskva. Ukraine says 2 Neptune anti-ship missiles fired to target Russian Black Sea Fleet flagship.
The pride of the Russian Navy in the Black Sea off Ukraine's southern coast. 13,000 tons of pure weaponry, nearly 200 meters long, and with 500 warrior sailors on board. But the formidable guided missile cruiser you see in these images may be a thing of the past, because the Moskva has in all likelihood been destroyed. It started with the Russian Ministry of Defense revealing that a massive onboard fire had dealt extensive damage to this warship, with reports revealing that the entire crew of the Russian flagship had been evacuated from the vessel as onboard ammunition exploded in the blaze. But Russia's claim that the ship was damaged in an accident have been pushed back hard by Ukraine, which claims that the vessel was struck by Ukrainian Neptune cruise missiles fired from the Odessa region. Oleksiy Arestovich, an advisor to the Ukrainian president, also quipped in an interview today that he was aware of the fire but did not specifically know the cause, joking that maybe some Russian soldiers had been smoking where they shouldn't have been.
Здесь, мы всегда к этому готовы, пусть летит, посмотрим. Надо просто помнить, что на любой выстрел по нашим органам управления у нас найдется.
On day 50 of this conflict, Ukraine has scored a major hit. This cruiser was armed with anti-ship, anti-submarine and surface-to-air missiles, and this is an indication that despite 50 days of conflict, Russia hasn't been able to neutralize all the surface-to-air missiles and anti-ship missiles. And this is exactly what Ukraine's President Zelensky has been seeking: anti-ship missiles, surface-to-air missiles, longer-range missiles to take on the Russian forces, along with fighter jets and T-72 tanks.
A sensational claim being made by sections on the Ukrainian side are that a Bayraktar drone was flown over the Black Sea to distract the Moskva warship and divert its attention, while Ukrainian cruise missile units mounted their secret attack on the warship. This claim too cannot be confirmed, though Russia did release footage just 2 days ago of another of its Black Sea Fleet ships appearing to shoot down what they claim is a combat drone from the Ukrainian side. A fourth possibility being considered is that the ship ran into a bed of Ukrainian sea mines and exploded on contact. As this war of claims and counterclaims continues, what is undeniable is that Russia's most formidable warship in the Black Sea has been stricken and evacuated. Russia, as expected, has denied the ship sank due to a Ukrainian attack. The Defense Ministry claimed that the ship sank due to a storm after being gutted in a fire. But the Moskva, a ship named after Russia's beloved capital, will no longer be a weapon of war in this fight. And that's a big blow, no matter which way you look at it. With Gaurav Sawant in Dnipro, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.
Chechen fighters are still stationed in Ukraine, fighting a war against Ukraine for Russia. They've built their base camp in a hotel at an undisclosed location. In a mega world exclusive, India Today's Geeta Mohan spoke to the Chechen fighters about the war allegations of torture and killings of civilians. Listen in.
This is an India Today exclusive in an unknown location in the hinterlands of Mariupol. These are Chechen fighters. Why are they here fighting this war between Ukraine and Russia? I'm being joined by Commander Murad over here, who has the Russian flag, the markings of Z, and the markings of being from Chechnya and being a Chechen. Commander Murad, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today. Why are the Chechens fighting this war?
Главный вопрос вам как командиру Мурат, почему чеченцы участвуют в этой войне?
Ну, как чеченцы, никто не может понять ситуацию, которая творится на сегодняшний день в Украине.
You know that people from Chechnya also suffered from other terroristic regime in Chechnya, and that's why it's difficult to understand for Chechen people what is really happening, why it's really happening in Ukraine, this situation.
Сегодня мы хотим сказать, мы не воюем с Украиной вообще. Мы воюем с режимом, который сегодня жестоко мучает людей. Сегодня вы сами видите ситуацию, которая в Украине.
You see, we are not fighting against Ukrainian people, so we are not fighting against Ukraine. We are fighting against the Nazi regime, because we know many stories that people, the common people, suffered from Nazi regime, and that's why we came here to support them. And he wants to underline that we are not fighting against Ukraine. We just came here to support people and to relieve the power from the Nazi regime.
Commander Murad's son has been arrested in the Zaporozhye area by the Ukrainian forces. He's a man who still continues to participate and to serve the Chechen force. But my question to him is, what is motivating him and many others, and how many Chechen fighters are here right now?
И есть ли у вас информация, какое количество чеченцев приехало сюда для участия в этой операции?
Чеченцы здесь участвуют для того, чтобы помочь народу Украины.
The main motivation for the Chechenian guys who came here, it was the history, because the Chechnya also suffered from the terroristic regime some years ago, and it's very understandable for him, for all Chechenians, how the people in Ukraine suffer from this regime. For example, we know that many crimes against the common people happening in from the special forces or something like that, Nazi battalions and so on. For example, do you remember the situation in Odessa in the 2nd of May? Do you remember the situation in Zaporozhye, Mariupol, when it was impossible for people to lay flowers, to bring flowers on the 9th of May? And that's why we came here just to protect people, to relieve them.
We are in the base camp of the Chechen fighters. We met Commander Murad, and now we are here in the base camp where the officers and the Chechen fighters are based out of. They live here. It is the month of Ramzan, so this is iftar time, and they just broke their fast and are breaking bread with each other, sharing a meal. But you see, all prepared to ensure that they fight for the Russian side over here. There was a time when the Chechens were fighting the Russians. Today they're fighting with the Russians. And like Commander Murad said, that they are taking orders not just from Ramzan Kadyrov, who is their president of Chechnya, but also their commander-in-chief, President Putin. And that's why the two flags over here represent exactly what the Chechen fighters are here to do. With the journalist Satya Rautre in an undisclosed location in Melitopol, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
Melitopol city in Ukraine is ravaged by war. Relentless attacks have left the city in shambles. Broken buildings, charred vehicles, the scenes in the street are of destruction. Refugee camps in Melitopol are also witnessing an influx of civilians who've lost their homes. India Today's Geeta Mohan brings us this report from a refugee camp in the city.
Winters are on their way out, and the cherry trees over here in Melitopol have started to blossom. Once a very quiet town, it did not suffer major damage because the Ukrainian forces moved out fast enough. But this house over here suffered severe damage. There was an old lady with her grandchild who was staying here. According to them, a Tochka-U missile of the Ukrainians hit this house, and while the old lady survived, the grandson is no more. There is a lot of loss when it comes to other parts. Nothing compares. But Melitopol is now completely under Russian control, despite the destruction over here. There are only a few places that were attacked, that suffered damage, only a few buildings, and this house was one of them. The area around, a lot of people from the area fearing such attacks moved out, but many are still staying. Some have come back. The old lady who suffered the greatest loss of losing her grandchild is living with a neighbor here in the area. With video journalist Satya Rautre in Melitopol, Geeta Mohan for India Today. What really happened to her house? And when was it?
Сейчас я просто переведу то, что вы сказали, хорошо? It was something about 7 p.m. It was 24th of February. It was a calm evening. Her son Sergei and grandson Alexei was here. Alexei was in that construction. It is you see something like a small house.
Outhouse.
Yes. Sergei was in here in the kitchen, and the very big explosion, and Sergei was without damage, but under the constructions, under the bricks. But they knew that their grandson Alexei is here, and he was his body got many destructions, so arms, legs were cut off, and so on, and that's why Nina Palna is very, very worried about the situation.
This is the kitchen where women are preparing meals for the refugees. There are quite a few who are coming from various places, and meals are being prepared over here. Andre, how many people are staying in this facility right now?
40 people, but I want to say that these ladies, they worked in this organization, I mean the college, and they just came here to help people as volunteers. So they don't have any payment for this, but they spend their time to help people.
People have lost their homes, but it certainly is a relief that they have a warm place to stay and warm food to eat. In Melitopol, now there is a refugee camp for people who are fleeing their homes, being displaced because of this invasion, because of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. But the ones who are coming to Melitopol are primarily Russian-speaking or of Russian origin, because they do not feel safe to go to the Ukrainian side. And that's why this is the house where a lot of the refugees are being housed, and the community has come together to provide them with clothes, shoes, food and various other aspects, basic amenities. At the end of the day, whether if you're Ukrainian speaking or Russian speaking, this war has cost the people of Ukraine dearly. With video journalist Satya Rautre in Melitopol, Geeta Mohan for India Today.